and welcome to another episode of the Cutting Edge Figure Skating Podcast. My name is Kim Dunaway, and in this episode, I'll be covering the men's event at the 2024 Grand Prix de France. Let's be honest, this event was a mess. Not a lot of high-quality performances in either the short program or the free skate. So it was a bit of a downer in that respect. It was very dramatic in terms of the ordinals because they were all over the place. When we talk about minning, like this is the epitome of minning. And I feel like over the past year, we haven't really had too much of this. I mean, of course, we had Adam's gigantic jump at Worlds, but in terms of like multiple people having just polar opposite short programs to long programs, I feel like it's been a minute. I feel like there's been a little bit of a stabilization, if that's possible in men's, at least not to this degree. This degree was wild. I think you could sort of see it when you looked at the lineup coming into this week. You felt pretty good about saying Adam was going to win. And then you felt like Lucas maybe, and then a bunch of who knows what. And it was basically Adam and a bunch of who knows what. And you kind of got to throw Adam into that whole bunch as well. Because frankly, I think Adam is very, very fortunate that everybody else really struggled here as well. And he was still able to get the win here. Because after his short program, I was like, oh boy, might be really hard for him to get to the Grand Prix final. But those that had strong short programs, a lot of them didn't have strong long programs. And it was crazy. Let's get into it. The winner here was Adam Ciel-Himfa of France. He made things much more difficult on him than it had to be, but he did come out with a win here. He is coming off of an ankle injury. And so I'm going to read what he said about that injury. He said that he injured himself on the quad flip this summer, which I don't remember him doing a quad flip last year in any of his competitions. He said he planted it in a hole. My foot got stuck in the ice and my body kept rotating. Not fun. I resumed quickly as I was on tour in Japan, and without rest, the repeated impact took a toll on my foot. I re-injured myself on a step out on a quad Salchow. With my ankle still too fragile and not strong enough, it got worse. This time I had no choice but to take a 6-week complete break from the ice. So he debuted at Nice, I believe, just a couple of weeks ago. It was the same weekend as Skate America. So I did not watch his free skate there. I did watch the short program he did there, which was different than the short program that he did here. So he has 2 short programs this year because he said that he finds it boring to do the same program all year round, which, boring to who? Boring to him, I guess, because he does it in run-throughs and in practice. But as someone who watches it, I'm only going to see him perform a short program, maybe in a challenger, up to 3 times in the Grand Prix, Europeans, and Worlds. I'm not going to get sick of seeing your routine 5, at most 6 times. So, interesting strategy. The only other person who I can think of who did something similar to this, and it wasn't for the short program, but Alexei Yagudin in the 2000-2001 season where he actually lost Worlds, he decided to do a separate long program than what he had been doing all season. He'd been doing this Gladiator long program all season, and then he decided to do a Tosca program at World. So he did the Gladiator in the qualifying round, and then he did the Tosca in the actual competition, which it wasn't really ready. I think it was the first time he'd done it. I don't think he had done it that's back when they had that weird, the Grand Prix final, it might have been called Champion Series back then. They would just take the top 2 skaters and they had to do a second free skate. It's possible he could have done it there, but it wasn't anywhere near where the Gladiator was because he hadn't done it all season. And so part of the reason to sort of get your programs out there, get mileage on your program, is so that you can be peaking at Worlds. And so to be sort of flip-flopping between 2 short programs, it just doesn't seem like a good strategy to me. And so I don't know if he's trying to test them out, and then maybe he's going to go with the one that the judges seem to like more. This particular one is to Gangster's Paradise by 2WEI and DMX. So he's literally out there in a real hoodie, not a faux hoodie, a real hoodie, hood pulled up over his head to start. And I'm thinking the whole time he's skating, like, how practical is this? Like, does the hood not get in the way while you're spinning, while you're doing some of your footwork? I don't know. We'll see if he does this short program again. And if he does do it again, if he wears the same costume again. Now, in terms of the jumps, I believe Mark said as he was going out there that he was really struggling with the quad lutz in warm-up. Did a quad lutz triple toe? No problem. The rest of the jumps, however, different story. He crashed pretty badly on his quad toe, and then he sat down on his triple axel. So 2 falls in the short program. Very, very problematic for him. He's got the backflip in both the short and in the free skate. I think the program is entertaining. I think it's fine if this is what he wants to go with as his competitive program. Like, it could be fine as a show program. I think it's also fine as a short program as well. Elia's skating to rap. You got Luke out here skating to rap for a second year in a row. I'm guessing Jimmy Ma was the pioneer of like men skating to rap in general. Nathan Chen did a step sequence to rap. I think that was that the one he brought back for the Olympics? Maybe the Elton John. Anyway, the program is fine. It's always hard to really get a good gauge on the program when there's multiple mistakes in it. So here, did not do well. And he found himself in 8th place after the short program. Now, he jumped 18 places at Worlds, so you knew he had the potential to come in and kill it in the free skate and win the whole shebang, but he didn't really come out and kill it in the free skate. He is yet another person skating to Dune. This is not the only Dune program that we saw this weekend. It wasn't even the only Dune program we saw in the men's program. He has a great dramatic opening, starting with his starting pose. He does quad lutz just right on the music. He has this really long setup into his quad toe, and then he pops it into a double. Does a triple flip, and then he does a triple axel, double axel, kind of all right at the beginning. A lot of jumps going on. Then he falls on the ice. He's on the ice. He's just got his chest beating. It's very dramatic. His second quad toe is no problem. He does leave some points on the table, though. He only got a step sequence, only got a 3 on his step sequence, which, frankly, a lot of men did. I think only Lucas and Kazuki got level 4s on their step sequence in this free skate for the men. So they were very, very picky about the step sequences at this competition. It did look like Adam stumbled a little bit in the beginning. It was hard to tell if the choreography was just chaotic or if he stumbled. There was another point where he did, I can't remember if it was a triple Lutz Euler, triple Salchow. It was supposed to be a triple Salchow. It was really a double. So it was a bit conservative for him technically than what we know that he can do. I'm not surprised by that because we've seen Ilya kind of do the same thing during the Grand Prix. It's like you don't have to bring out all your big guns quite yet with the field that you're currently skating in. It's the first time that I've seen this program. I'm not quite sold on it. I don't know if it's because I'm already so sick of Dune at this point in the season, or if it just, this is just his second competition. I didn't watch it from Nice. I waited till I saw it here. I think it's just not quite fully formed. It's, especially compared to his last couple of free skates, where I felt like he's kind of performing the whole way through. I didn't really get the feeling so much with this program. So his overall total was 246 points, which in a men's event really shouldn't hold up to win, but it does here, and it does by over 13 points. Like, it wasn't close. Everybody behind him just basically was like, no, we want Adam to win. We'll do our best to help you out. So the second place finisher was Koshiro Shimada of Japan. So this was definitely a huge shock. And he was not sitting in a medal position after the short program. He was in fifth after the short and pulled him up here to finish second overall. So in his short program, he fell out of his toe loop on the triplets triple toe. It wasn't a huge mistake. He did find himself, like I said, in fifth, but it wasn't his best program. I did love that Stefan had a Koshiro towel in the kiss and cry. I thought that was awesome. In his free skate, again, it was very messy and surprised that he ultimately ended up second. But he stepped out of his triple axel. He also stepped out of the second jump at his triple flip, triple toe combo. He did get this triple axel Euler double Salchow off, which was clearly supposed to be a triple Salchow, but barely kind of dragged his free leg on the Sal. So no major mistakes, but just a lot of messiness here and there. But ultimately, he is able to get ahead of Andrew Torgashev by 0.2 points, the slimmest of margins to finish on the podium here. And then in third place, another surprise, Andrew Torgashev of the US. He was actually in the kiss and cry with Brandon Fraser, who I don't believe is one of his coaches. Roth Arturian is Andrew's coach, but Brandon has been helping out with Jenny Mino and Todd Sand, and they all train in that same rink in California. So I'm guessing that somehow Brandon ended up traveling with, I don't know, it was very strange to see him in the kiss and cry of a non-pair skater. But he was also like the best hype man ever. He was just like pumping him up so much in the kiss and cry. And I was like, he is like channeling his best Tracy Wilson. In the short program, Andrew did a clean quad toe and I about fell out of my chair. I was like, oh my gosh. When's the last time we've seen Andrew land a quad toe? I feel like it's been since like 2022 Nationals. It has been a minute. He felt like he had to get a fall in there somewhere. So in his transition between his camel spin and his combo jump, he had this fluke fall just kind of out of nowhere. Didn't take him out of the program at all. He was able to get right back into it and land his combo just fine. He had all this energy and passion in his footwork sequence, but he only got a level 3 because, like I said, the judges were very, very picky about the step sequences in both segments of the competition, which I'm totally fine with. Like, don't give people a level 4 if they don't deserve a level 4. Like, they need to check all those boxes for sure. In his free skate, he's skating to Scheherazade, and when I saw this at Nebelhorn, he had just like a shirt like he was going to do a jazz number, and I was really confused. So I'm guessing his costume wasn't ready yet. So I'm glad that the outfit has changed. It now matches the music. He had a lot of determination going into that quad toe. You could just kind of see it on his face. He landed it again. He did turn out of his triple axel, but he did get the second one. I don't love this program. I know a lot of people loved it. You know, skating is so subjective. Like, I feel like his short program is so cool and inventive. And this one just feels so expected. It just feels like he's capable of something more different than just like going to Scheherazade. I think it's fine. It's just, to me, it's just not as exciting as what he's bringing to the table in a short program, even though he's repeating a short program from last year. He had some issues with his spins. He ultimately lost by 0.2 points, which that could be anything. That could be the level in the step sequence. That could be turning out of the triple axel. But ultimately, he lost his sit spin, which was hugely costly. I mean, that's 4 or 5 points. And we've seen that a lot more this season. A lot of times it's that they're just not getting down low enough into the spin. Sometimes it's because they don't get enough revolutions once they've established that position, which happened to Lindsay Thorngren in one of her challengers. But for him here, lost the entire spin. That was 4 or 5 points. And he just needed, like I said, just a little bit. And then in his combo spin, he ended up getting only a level 2 and a V because, it was a sit position that at least it looked to me that he didn't get far enough in the combo spin. So he doesn't lose the combo spin because he does hit other positions, but he ends up with both a level 2 and a V, which affects the base value. If he'd end up with a level 2 without the V, he would have won. If he ended up with a level 3 in a V, he would have won. It's just such a slim margin that any little thing could have got it. And I was so afraid that it was going to cost him a medal spot. But lucky for him, the other 3 skaters in front of him all imploded. So he ended up on the podium anyway. He ended up a point behind Shimada in PCS, which I think honestly, if he had nailed those 2 spins, he probably would have been right there. I don't think there's a considerable difference between Andrew and Koshira in terms of their skating skills at all. But I was thrilled to see Torgashev get on the podium, not just because it's his first time getting on the podium, but I was just so glad to see an American man not named Elia or Jason Brown do something. I have been incredibly frustrated with the American men over this entire Olympic cycle, basically. And I'll talk about it again a little bit more when I get to Camden. But I feel like we've got a front runner in that race. Andrew doesn't have another Grand Prix, which for him might be a good thing because he doesn't mess this up. He can sort of go into nationals unless he gets another international assignment later, like Golden Spin, to sort of, he can go in on a high note, whereas the other men are sort of going up to catch him. Now, because they have 2 pretty solid men with Elia and Jason, they're probably just going to go with whoever finishes 3rd at nationals, more than likely. So, Andrew goes and finishes 8th at nationals, no, he's not going to Worlds. But this definitely will help him with that case to go to Worlds. And frankly, it might help him with the case to go to Olympics a year from now also. All right. Moving on from our medal winners to 4th place here, and that was Mikhail Shaturov of Kazakhstan. And he was definitely a podium contender. He won a bronze medal at Cup of China last season, and he was a lot of people's picks to get on the podium here. I wasn't quite as high on him because I hadn't seen yet these new programs from him. He did his last year's free skate for 2 years. It had basically no attempt at choreography, and so I was really hoping to see some improvement in that area from him. And I'm sad to say we really haven't. And it's kind of a shame because he's got a full arsenal of quads. And if he ever decides to do the Elia PCS glow up, like, he could be a real contender. Outside of Elia and Adam and Shun Sato, nobody else is out here doing as many quads and as easy as he can make them look at times. You've got somebody like Mimola who does a quad Lutz, like Daniel Grasselsblack, and he does a quad Lutz, and but they don't have other quads really to go with it. Like, it's like they've just got the 1 or they've got 2. And Shaturov has got these. It's got a flip. He could be very, very scary, but his PCS suck. At Worlds last season, I think he finished 13th because he didn't have a great short program, but he was 20th in PCS, which to me should have been all the motivation in the world to sort of start to lay the foundation to work on these things. Like, you're not going to get all the way there in a year, but if he had put forth some kind of effort in this off season, that he could start reaping the benefits of it next season going into the Olympics. But I can't see how he's going to go from where he is right now to any kind of a medal contender next season, because I just don't think he can have that kind of improvement. Let's get into his programs. His short program is, of course, to what else? Dune. I heard a lot of people on social media say that he looks like Timothée Chalamet, who I guess is one of the co-stars of the film, which I haven't seen Dune 2 and I fell asleep on the first one. But I do remember seeing red carpet photos with someone in Zendaya. I'm guessing that's Timothée Chalamet, and I can see the resemblance. So in that effect, sure, why not? Why not do Dune? And for him in the short program, I think it's always going to be easier for him to hide some of the deficiencies that he has in his skating skills in a shorter program. The problem for him is he's oftentimes making his mistakes in the short program, and he's always having to come from behind. And that was kind of the same way for him here. He came out, fell on that quad lutz, and while he did a nice triple axel and a very nice quad toe, triple toe in the second half of his program, the fall definitely cost him. And so he was in sixth place going into the free skate. Now, in the free skate, Mark tells everybody that he's going to be attempting a triple axel quadruple toe, which is just stupid, right? Like, this is insane. We're all kind of buzzing, right, on Twitter before he goes. And he comes up, he nails the quad lutz at the start of his program. Then he goes into the triple axel quad toe. And I was like, oh my gosh, he did it. Like, I put my hands up. My husband looked at me quizzically, like, what are you doing? And then on the screen, it comes up, triple axel, triple toe. Mark Hanratty says triple axel, triple toe. And I was like, oh, well, I guess he didn't do it. And I felt like an idiot because I thought he did 4 revolutions. And then it wasn't until the end of the program and they were going back to look at the replays that Mark realized that he actually did do a quad toe. And I was like, I was right. But even if I had thought I had been right, I would have definitely been like, oh no, Mark said he did a triple toe. He did a triple toe. And it's not uncommon. We have seen this happen before. I know it's happened to, I believe, Mateo before, where they've called his quad loop a triple loop. Luckily, they did fix it. Like, upon review, they also called Mikhail's quad flip that he did later in the program a quad lutz with a repetition violation. They also fixed that as well. So, like I said, he's got an insane base value. When you look at a quad lutz, a quad flip, this triple axel quad toe that he made look so easy, it's crazy. And now, unfortunately for him, in the second half of his program, things kind of fell apart a little bit. On his second quad toe, he popped it into a triple toe, and then it was ultimately downgraded to a double. And then he stepped out of his triple axel as well. The music choice is bizarre to me. He's doing Moonlight Sonata to start, and then it ends with Take on Me. It makes no sense. I mean, him and Vladimir Levintsev must have like the same music person. It just makes no sense. And then if you were just like to mute when Mikhail skates. It looks like he's at a practice session, like just drilling jumps and doing spins. He's not doing anything in between. It's just nothing. If you would do that to pick anybody else here, Selevko, Luke Economides, Lucas, like they look like they're telling some kind of a story. You can tell they're doing some kind of a program. Like, he really has nothing. I thought that the judges, which gave him like a 75, frankly, I thought that was a joke. I would have had him at least 10th in PCS, if not 12th behind Patat. Because frankly, I don't know what they're giving him skating skills for. I think they get excited with the quads, but the man is not doing anything in that department. I don't see any attempt. He's not doing anything more this year than he did last year. And I've already spent way more time talking about his program components than I want to. And I think it's frustrating for me because when you have somebody who does have the technical arsenal that he does, you could see the potential of what he could be. But right now, there's really no effort to try to get there that I can see. All right. In fifth place was Kazuki Tomono of Japan. He came out in the short program with the wildest shirt I have seen in a while. It looked like some kind of psychedelic lava lamp kaleidoscope from the 70s. It was loud. And it kind of went with the program, which to me was a bit chaotic. I love Kazuki. I love Kazuki. And maybe I'll change my mind on these two programs when I see them again. I did not love either program. Here, in the short program, he stepped out of his quad toe. He did land his quad salchow. He put his customary double toe on there. No quad triple as normal with Kazuki. He was third after the short program. So he was in podium position. Fingers crossed for him so much. But in the free skate, just too many mistakes. He has Lori Nickel choreographed program, which I think the first 3 minutes of the program. It's just like the the end, which is really fun. It's like fun to Moki. It just kind of comes out of nowhere. So it's like I feel like I need either like the last minute of the program to be the program, or I need like the first 3 minutes of the program to be the program. But the mashup together, I just don't know about. But again, maybe I'll come around to it. He fell on his quad toe again. He just did a triple toe on the second attempt at it. Then he fell on the quad Salchow. So a lot of mistakes, and unfortunately for him, he ended up sixth in the free skate to fall off the podium and end up fifth overall, which is a bummer because Kazuki is another one of those that usually will be good for one good program and one rather messy skate. And he was kind of on brand here. In sixth place was Nikolai Mimola, who was the absolute epitome of minning. 10th in the short program, second in the free skate. Just completely wild. In the short program, so when I did whatever challenger he was in, it was bugging me with the music that he was using. I was like, I've heard this music before. I can't place who skated to it. And then somebody on YouTube said Sui and Han used it for their short program in the Olympic season. And I was like, that's it. That's it. So it's like some Spanish music from the Mission Impossible soundtrack. Usually his short program goes however his quad Lutz goes. So for him, the quad Lutz didn't go. He did a triple Lutz and he got an edge call on it. So he lost a lot of points on that. Quite a bit of negative GOE. And then he has a triple Lutz, triple toe planned as his combo. So once he's already done triple Lutz, he can't do another one. So he did think on the fly, did a triple flip instead with the triple toe, but that triple Lutz with the edge call was very, very costly for him. And he was also another one that lost his sit spin in the short program. So he lost that completely. Plus with the epic fail on the quad Lutz, he found himself in 10th place and kind of a forgotten person going into the free skate, and then just came out and landed everything. He had like the green wordle, which is like they have no mistakes. Now, once the judges got a hold of him, of course, they found some things to give him negative GOE on. He ended up with unclear edges on all three of his Lutz jumps, the quad Lutz that he landed and the two triple Lutz that he did. So he ended up with negative GOE on all three of those jumping passes because of that. But they were landed cleanly to the naked eye and had really one of the stronger skates that we've really seen him do. It seems rare that he lands the quad Lutz in both programs. It always seems like it's either or, and that he just has, one good program and sometimes two not great programs. But it was good to see him do well here. And we'll see what he looks like in his next Grand Prix. I'm just waiting for consistency with Nikolai, and I don't know that we're any closer to that or not. And seventh place was Alexander Solevko. Again, second after the short program, largely because, again, there were so many mistakes with so many people because he wasn't perfect in the short program either, but then came out and was seventh in the free skate to finish seventh overall. So in his short program, he's doing kind of a jazzy number. He put a hand down on his quad toe, which is really not a consistent jump for him. He did have a really nice triple axel. I do like this program. Sasha is a person who does really good at a lot of different styles. So it's hard to say what he's best at. Like he did the same short program the last couple of seasons, which is very dramatic, which I really like. And so I definitely appreciate that he went in a different direction with both of his programs this season. And I think it works fine. But I do think I missed the drama just a little bit. Just a little bit. His free skate is to different selections of tango music. He had issue with the quad toe. He fell on both of them here. He hit some really nice positions in here that work really well with tango pieces of music. I just feel like I dislike the music so much. I just feel like of all the tango music to choose, like he picks like the most cliche tangos, except for like Tango Roxanne. He didn't pick Tango Roxanne, but the Tangera music is clearly what they use in Tango Roxanne. So it still sounds like Tango Roxanne at the end when that music kicks in. And so it just feels like meh to me. Like I love the performance that he's giving. And again, I feel like if I watch it on mute, like I would enjoy it much better. The music for me, especially the fact that he picks three different tango selections and it's not the same continuous tango, which gives it a little bit more of a continuous flow. Whereas it almost kind of feels like it's three different programs mashed together, if that makes sense. So this is the second time that I've seen this. I saw it in one of the challengers and I liked it a little bit better, but not a lot better. And he was messy there and he was messy here. His last pass was like a triple flip, double axel, single axo combo. And the whole ending to me just kind of didn't really, it's just not up to the quality that I know that he can bring to the table. In eighth place here was Bo Yang Jin. And boy, another one. He was the surprise leader after the short program. And then he was 11th in the free skate to finish 8th overall. So just completely different sides of the moon for Bo Yang. In the short program, his program is about the ups and downs of skating. It's a little scaled back for him technically, which worked perfectly here. Quad toe, triple axel, triple lutz, triple toe, got 88 points. High that we've seen him get in a really long time. I think he had a very good short program at Golden Spin maybe last year that we didn't get a chance to see. So it's so nice to see it. And then going into the free skate, you're like, what are we going to get? He had landed this very nice quad lutz in the warm up. So I thought, oh boy, here we go. This program is probably going to go how the quad lutz goes. And he fell on it very first thing. And then he goes and does a clean quadruple toe. And I'm like, okay, we're good. But unfortunately from there, it was a bit of a meltdown. He turned out of a triple axel and then he immediately does another triple axel and he pops it to a single. I didn't feel like he had a whole lot of effort into the choreography, which we got to talk about this music choice because he is skating to Hooked on a Feeling, which is a very interesting choice. I'm not sure what they're trying to convey with this. Like there's clearly a story with the short program and it really works. This one, and part of it too, like the audio was really bad. I don't know if it was bad on the feed or what, but he just didn't connect to this music at all. I didn't feel like he put a lot of effort into the choreography either. I felt like it was just kind of a bit of a regression from kind of the progress that we've seen from him the last few seasons since he's been with Brian and Tracy. So I was very discouraged, unfortunately, in this skate. Even like a triple lutz, triple toe, which he did perfectly fine in the short program, he did like a full turn in between the two jumps in the free skate. So just nothing seemed to really be working for him except for maybe that quad toe. So I was really bummed to see him not do well, but I was also kind of on the fence when he skated because, of course, he was the last one to skate since he won the short program. And you had Torgashev right there on that third place, 0.2 points. I'm just like, oh, I want Boy Yang to skate well, but I also don't want Andrew to lose out on a medal by 0.2 points. But I definitely did not want to see Boy Yang implode like he imploded here. So hopefully he can build on that short program. Maybe just take the quadlets out. Like we don't have to have it. We really don't have to have it. And just try to skate clean. I feel like sometimes skaters, they get so focused on like one jump that if they don't land that jump, like the whole program falls apart. And I feel like we see that with a lot of skaters, and Bo Yang I'd probably put in that category as well. In ninth place here was Lucas Britschke, and he is another one who has been having some injury issues. So he's currently got a knee injury. This is what he said after the event. This was not my week. Physically and mentally, I'm just not fully ready yet. My season preparation wasn't ideal due to a knee problem, and I'm still missing my confidence and routine. But I'll be working hard in the coming weeks to come back stronger and show my full potential again. It just needs a bit more time, which makes me wonder, should you even be here? He also really struggled in the challenger that he was in this earlier this season also. In his short program, he is skating to music that has a monologue from a Charlie Chaplin movie called The Great Dictator. It's part of the music choice. which is Iron Sky by Paolo Nutini. I did read the entire monologue on the Budapest Trophy episode, which is the challenger that Lucas was in. So I won't read it again. If you want to go back and listen to that episode, then I've got the whole monologue there. It's very interesting. I think this could be such a good program when skated well. He didn't skate it particularly well there nor here. He fell on his quad toe at the beginning, and then in the second half of this program, he has an intended triple Lutz triple toe, and he just got a double toe off. So that really caused him to be pretty down in the standings. He was 7th after the short program, but unfortunately wasn't able to pull himself up any after he was 9th in the free skate and ultimately ended up 9th overall. In this short program, he ends with his hands over his mouth, and his hands are in red gloves, which obviously means something. I want to know more about this program choice from him, and I'm going to probably do some research between now and the next Grand Prix that he's in to learn a little bit more about why he picked this particular music and if there's any meaning to some of the choreography. In the free skate, he did a quad toe, triple toe to start. And I was like, okay. And then he did another quad toe and fail, which is kind of how it's been for him this season. The consistency just hasn't been there yet. He botched his triple axel combo and a triple loop. He only got a level 2 in his combo spin. He did have a really great triple axel in the second half, but he had an under-rotated triple Lutz right after that, and then he later fell on a triple flip too. So just really up and down for him. I certainly hope that he heals up his injury. I think both these programs can be really brilliant when he's on. In 10th place was Luc Economides of France, who we saw last week at Skate Canada. So he did a little bit better this week, finishing 10th, whereas last week he was 11th. In his short program, he landed low on his triple axel. It wasn't terrible. He also landed low on his triple Lutz and had to step out of that. So a couple of technical mistakes. Really love the step sequence he does to wrap. I found it really strange when I first saw this at the Challenger that he did earlier in the season, but I've come completely around to it now, which does happen as I see these programs more and more. In the free skate, he opted not to attempt the quad and just did a triple instead. Struggled with his triple axel again. He put a hand down on his second triple axel, but he was able to get his combo off. He does backload his program with 2 combos, which I think that he does to help with the fact that he doesn't have a consistent quad, and his triple axels aren't his best jumps either. So he did get a triple flip, triple toe off late, and a triple Lutz Euler, triple sow. I love this program so much. The footwork sequence is fantastic. I was totally insulted that his program components were somehow lower than Mikhail Shatarov's. Just joke. I also thought they should have been higher than some other skaters as well, but whatever. I felt like he was better scored last week in Canada. We will see him in a couple of weeks at Warsaw Cup, but his Grand Prix is now completed. In 11th place was Camden Polkinen of the US. And I did not realize this until I was at Skate America, but Camden is working a full-time job. So we were discussing about the men's third spot. And of course, Camden got the world spot last year. And I was like, well, he graduated school, so now surely he'll have the time to dedicate to skating. She was like, he's working a full-time job. And I'm like, what? Why? So I guess he's chosen to start his career. So I am not one to question people's life choices. Like, this is completely his decision. Like, I remember a few years ago, not this past Summer Olympics, but the one before that. So I guess it was the 2021 Olympics. There was this swimmer who had graduated from Stanford, and she had a full-time job basically waiting for her at the Olympics. And she got a gold medal in one of the events and like a silver and something else. That she just kind of like went to Olympic trials like on a whim, basically. And so in my mind, I'm thinking, well, you're still going to take that job, or are you going to like stay on this course to go to another Olympics? But no, that's what she wanted to do, right? And so I totally get it if like skating is just something that he does and it's not something he wants to commit full time to. I get it. But I don't think skating is something that you can do part-time and skate at a really high level. I mean, Nathan amazingly skated really well while he was in school, but then he also took 2 years off to focus on getting to the Olympics. Michelle tried to go to school full-time when she graduated, and it did not work, and she scaled back. Vincent went to school full-time for a year and was like, this isn't going to work, and scaled back. And so I had enormous respect for Camden for sticking it out and getting his degree. And I thought he was timing it perfectly to then give himself 2 years to be able to try to make the Olympic team. And it doesn't seem like that's the case. So I guess in my mind, I'm questioning, like, why continue to skate? Like I said, I'm trying not to question the life decision, because I don't think it's the same as someone like Jamie Saley and David Peltier, for instance, who they both had to have jobs to sort of help fund their skating. So they would, like, I can't remember if they waited tables or worked at the rink or something that they did. When I remember reading Second Mark, I don't think that's the case with Camden. Like, I think he feels like he doesn't want to put his career off, but I don't know. Like, maybe they're hoping to still peak at nationals and this is all part of the plan. But he just looked totally unprepared at this competition, especially in the free skate. It just looked like he did not have the reps at all, enough run throughs to have the stamina to even be able to rotate his jumps at the end of his program. So I definitely would love to know some of you guys' thoughts. Like, am I being too hard on him? Like, shut up, Kim. Let the guy live his life. And again, he's like, I'm not questioning, but it just feels like the Olympics a couple of years off. It's just weird to me. It's so weird to me. And it also sounds like the job that he has is not like a 8 to 5, like extra hours, and I don't know. Moving on, let's talk about his performances. So in the short program, I fell on the quad toe, which has always been pretty inconsistent for him. And then he, like Lucas, just got a double toe off on his combo, so triple Lutz double toe. So he was in 11th place after the short program. And then in the free skate was just awful. He popped his quad toe into a double toe. I thought by the end, he was just really poor effort. He's always inconsistent, but I just thought he looked not just unprepared, but frankly unfazed about it. And like I said, maybe he's here to get some reps and he wants to be a little bit better at his Grand Prix. But honestly, I was a little insulted, to be perfectly honest. He finished last in the free skate. It was way rougher than what we've normally seen from Camden, when he just comes out and it's just like nerves have got to him. Here, like I said, he just looked like he was unprepared. And so we'll see, if he continues to do both or if he lets one of them go. And at this point, it might be skating. And if that's the decision that he makes, like, I totally respect that. I think I would have more respect for choosing that route than trying to, like, not give your all. And I'm not saying that he's not giving his all. It's just, people don't work full-time jobs and skate at a high level for a reason. All right, moving on to our last competitor here, and that was Francois Pitot of France, making his second Grand Prix. He was also at Skate America, where he, I think, was also 12th there too, unfortunately. I think Mark made a really good point about Francis and his short program, because he does a quad Salchow, and it didn't go well for him here. It didn't go well for him at Skate America either. Now, he did land it, like, in the free skate. He just, like, his hand just kind of grazed the ice in his free skate. So I know it's there. And I think I've said before, like, some of these skaters like Lucas or Liam Kapakis, and, like, if you want to go for the quad, do it in the free program. But why do it in the short program? Like, the short program, you really need to go out there and skate clean. So unless that's a jump that you're landing like 90% of the time in practice, I just wouldn't put it in the short program. And again, I'm not a coach. I'm not a skater. I'm just a chick with a mic, right? But I've seen some of these skaters, Francois, 1, 2, I've seen them in practice, and that 90% is not there. Like it's not there. And so sometimes I feel like skaters hope that that like extra adrenaline like gives them the push to like get it done, but I just feel like consistency wins the day. And he's a beautiful skater. He has some really nice components and some really well choreographed programs. And they're just always going to have a little bit of a mar on them when you're making some of these mistakes. And again, if you can better set yourself up for success, especially in your first year of seniors, then maybe that's the way to go instead of trying to get this tech content in that maybe you're just not ready for yet. Of course, that wasn't the only problem in his short program. Was the fall on the quad Salchow. He also popped the axle into a single, which means 0 credit. Got to get at least a double. And then he did a double let's double toe. And, very, very low base value. So he was way, way behind. So even though he was 10th in the free skate, it wasn't enough to pull him up because he was so far behind after the short program. He is a very good spinner. And of all the tango programs that we have in all of the disciplines this season, I do think that this short program is one of the better ones. His free skate is to like a piano version of the Matrix. Skate America, I was really confused about this program. I was able to appreciate it a lot more at this Grand Prix. Like I mentioned, he almost got that quad Salchow there. His first triple axel just really had no chance. The second one was better, but it suffered the same fate. They were both falls. I really feel like you can see the potential in between the jumps, and he has some elements of really nice artistry. He's kind of like Lucas Broussard to me of the U.S. Like young, and their higher scoring jumps are often more off than they are on, but they have some really nice skating skills, and I wish they would lean onto those a little bit more until they can get those higher scoring elements a little bit more consistent and then insert them into their programs. I think that would also kind of help with the confidence as well. All right. That completes the men's event. So who gets my Pamchenko? And so if you are new to the channel or new to the podcast, if you've ever seen The Cutting Edge, the movie, they have this crazy move called the Pamchenko. And so the Pamchenko, that's why I named it the Pamchenko. If you're like, did she just make up this word? No, I didn't. They made up that word. I'm just taking it from them. And so I typically give it to just whatever I think was the best performance kind of that particular event. So in the men's event, there wasn't a lot to be excited about, honestly, but I'm going to give my Pamchenko to Bo Yang for his short program. Because it was great to see him go out and skate well and win something. Even if it wasn't the whole thing, he won the short program, and so that was exciting. All right, let's do a little quick update on the Grand Prix standings. So we've got Elia at the top, having won both of his Grand Prix. He is into the final with 5 more spots. With this second place finish, Koshiro is second with 18 points, but that number will not hold up. So he's not a candidate really to make the final. The others who are going to be in the mix, Adam obviously here, getting a win here and getting 15 points. Kevin and Shun both have 13 points for their silver medal finishes. And then we've got Cal Mura and Junhua Cha, who both have 11 points for their bronze medal finishes at their Grand Prix. Andrew Torgashev does not have another Grand Prix assignment as of now. So his 11 points definitely won't hold up without another Grand Prix to add to it. And we've still not yet seen Yuma, who we will finally see next week. So let's look ahead to NHK. So we've got Vladimir Lovintsev, Stephen Gogolev, Mark Gorodnitsky, who were Gabrielle Frangipani, all were at Skate Canada last week. We've got Daniel Grassel, so that'll be interesting. See him back on the Grand Prix. Matteo Rizzo, also of Italy, Yuma Kageyama, Cal Mura, and Tetsuo Toboy of Japan. Then we have Juhyun Lim of Korea, Jason Brown, and Tomoki Hiwatashi of the US. So this definitely should be Yuma's to win here. Cal, I would expect to be second. I don't really see somebody overtaking him unless he implodes. And with a second and a third, I think that will put him in a good position to get to Grand Prix final. It would be better with a first and a third, but it would put him in a good position, especially with the likes of Koshiro and Andrew likely not making it. being other medalists in the field. So then it looks at who's going to be at that third spot. I think our contenders for the bronze medal is probably Mikhail makes the most sense. He usually comes out and doesn't do well in the short program, and so he's always kind of coming from behind. So if he could come out and do well in the short, that would do him a lot of favors. I think Jason is definitely a contender. He's going to want to bounce back from his poor showing at Skate Canada, and I'm sure that he will. And then we'll see how it all shakes out. Hopefully, just a better event next week than what we had this week. All right. As always, thank you guys so much for listening to the podcast. This was only 20 minutes longer than I expected this to go, but that's what happens when I get on a whole rampage about American men skating and Mikhail Shatarov's PCS. So as always, feel free to subscribe to the channel, to the podcast. Feel free to leave a comment. And you can find me on Twitter, X, I'm always going to call it Twitter probably, and Instagram at iSkatePodcast. Look for the rest of the recaps coming in your feed very soon. I hope you have a great rest of your week.